Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jason White, and this is my channel, Jason's Weird Reads. Thank you for joining me. And today uh, I have another book haul video. I found a lot of, and by lot I mean like like a small box of Goosebumps books that I bought off Facebook Marketplace. But before I get into that, and if you're new here, you like dark fiction, horror books, science fiction, and fantasy, please subscribe and we'll talk some books. And before I get into the Goosebumps books, I also want to mention that I got this book for free. The author contacted me through my email and they asked if I was interested. She's all the way from Australia and she sent this to me. I can't imagine what the shipping for that would have been. But this is Tombstone. Tales behind the Tombstones. It's going to be hard to. The glare is so crazy on this book. I tried taking pictures of it, and I couldn't, even in a somewhat dark room. But the cover is really cool, and she also signed it for me. And this is by H.D. Cooper. So my thanks to H.D. Cooper for sending this to me. I'm going to read it and review it. And this is it's a collection of short stories. I'll read you the synopsis here. Everyone has experienced something they simply can't explain. Skeptical minds always look for the logical explanations, but what if none can be found? Throughout the centuries, countless people have described their brushes with the paranormal. Tales Behind the Tombstones gives new life to these urban legends and explores the stories behind some of the most supposedly haunted places in America. From the unexplained outbreak at the Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky, to the Salem witch trials in colonial Massachusetts, these short, blood-curdling tales weave together a series of unexplained disappearances, crimes, and deaths. But underneath the spooky thrill of stories about ghosts, witches, and other supernatural forces lurks something far more sinister. What if some things just can't be explained? And so that's a really fascinating idea behind the collection. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I read the first one because you can get, if you're on Kindle Unlimited, you can read this for free. And I read the first one when she first contacted me, Bells, Bats, and Strange Cats, and that was pretty good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to this. Definitely check it out if you're into that type of thing with folklore and whatnot. That seems to be a bit of a thing lately, so maybe she's tapping into something there. Alright, I'm gonna go with this one first. I bought this one a while ago, and I just finished reading it to my son. And it's, I Am Slappy's Evil Twin. And this book is, it's about evil twin, it's basically the evil twin story, the doppelganger type thing. Except this one takes place in uh, with your typical, I guess, R.L. Stine family. You have a mother and a father and a couple of kids, and this is taken from the perspective of you know what? I can't even remember. Luke. Uh, the main character is Luke. He's a little boy, and the one thing I found interesting about this book was that the father made horror movies, and I really like that idea. He was a director for horror movies. Let me read you the synopsis quick. I won't do that for all these books, but this one I did read, and so I do want to discuss it because my son really enjoyed it. He didn't like it at first. At first, it actually rather spooked him, and there's some actual I wouldn't say frightening, but there are some little spooky things in this book. I was surprised at that. And this is the synopsis. Luke Harrison's dad makes horror movies. It's fun to be around such scary stuff, especially when you have your own monster museum at home. But when two ventriloquist dummies join the collection, things get real creepy. Real life creepy. Slappy and Snappy can walk and talk on their own. and they can make you scream on their own. And they have a plan to make everyone's lives miserable. Will Luke be able to stop this terrible twin twosome? And though this book, from my understanding, I haven't read too many of R.L. Stine's books yet. I think this is my third. But this has some of the typical things that I hear about in other reviews. When the weird things start happening, Luke and his sister and their friend Jamal, they're not believed by the father. In fact, the father gets quite angry with them. You know, there's people who complain about that. But in all honesty, if my son was telling me about dummies coming to life and trying to hurt him or me or whatever, I wouldn't believe him either. So it's perfectly understandable why the parents don't always believe the kids. But yeah, this was a fun story. Like I said, the beginning when the dummies start coming alive, it's kind of spooky. And my son, he got a little scared, and I wasn't sure if I was going to finish it. But by halfway point, he got really into it and found the fun in the book, and then we took off from there. So if you haven't read this is one of the newer ones, I think. It's Slappy World, so let me see when it was published. It was published in 2017, so it's definitely new. It's a good one for the newer ones. I haven't read too many of the older ones, so definitely check that out. Speaking of Slappy, we have Horrorland, Revenge of the Living Dummy. That, but I picked this up at Chapters Indigo from Canada. You know, I like these dummy books. They're fun. Here, I'm gonna stick with the ones I got at Chapters. Anyway, so I got this. It's Planet of the Living Gnomes. I'm going to read you the synopsis for this one because it sounds kind of funny. Jay Gardner can't seem to stay out of trouble. Even after a fresh start in a new neighborhood, he keeps finding himself in bad situations. But it's not his fault. Jay wants to be a good kid. He really does. It's just these strange things keep happening to him. What kind of a place did his family move him to? And why does every house have so many lawn gnomes in their yard? Jay better learn quickly that there are things a lot more scary than his parents. So, I imagine this is a story where the lawn gnomes come alive at night and they start doing terrible things to him. It sounds like fun. Okay, we also have Goosebumps Most Wanted: How I Met My Monster. This is a little werewolf tale. I actually read this one to him when he was younger, but he doesn't remember it. I bought it a long time ago. I have two of these now, because one's the older version, and one is this one. I believe it's this one. That's Stay Out of the Basement. It's technically number 2, and I think in the overall thing, I guess it was just re-released with a new cover. I absolutely love that cover, though. Just that green hand grabbing at the door and all those vines. It's just beautiful. And I also have Welcome to Dead House. I got this with some of the other ones. And this one is pretty early on too. I'm going to read you the synopsis for this one. Josh and Amanda just moved into the oldest and weirdest house on the block. It might even be haunted. But their parents don't believe them, as is typical. You'll get used to it, they say. Go out and make some new friends. So Josh and Amanda do. But these creepy new friends are not exactly what Mom and Dad had in mind, because they want to be friends forever. Alright. Now, we're into that small lot of books I was talking about. As I mentioned, I have the double here. This is the old version. It's kind of a similar cover, but besides the terrible glare, still got the green hand and the doorknob and some vines. It's not quite as colorful, but it's still pretty cool. And yeah, I don't know which version I'm going to read, because these little lot of books, uh, they weren't in the greatest condition, but they were dirt cheap. Somebody, you could tell, was just unloading them because they wanted to get rid of they wanted to open up their book space or something. I also got Ghost Beach. I love that. I love all these covers. They're just I wish they'd made covers for horror books, sort of like this, and the 80s horror book covers. Um, I wish the market was more welcoming of that. It should be, because these covers are awesome. They always were awesome. Do you believe in ghosts? And as you can see, it's a bit beat up here with the corner there, but that's fine. It's still readable, very much readable. You can tell, one thing I like about these books, you can tell that they were read a lot. The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. I've never really been into mummy stories, but Keenan, my son, might like this. I've heard some good things about this one. Say cheese and die. Again, you can see that it's been fairly well read. There's a lot of little bumps and bruises, and there's some wear and tear on the bottom there. And The Haunted Mask, Part 2. I do not have the first one, but I don't mind. I love that cover. It's adorable. They should make masks like that if they don't already. This one looks like it hasn't been read as much, so maybe it's not as good. If you've read this one and you know whether it's good or not, looks like a Halloween story, let me know. If it's good, I'll read it to my son next year. Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes. Lawn gnomes are really rather funny, and we used to make fun of lawn gnomes and lawn decorations in general, me and my old friends. And the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. I just love that title. The Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Doom, da doom, doom, doom. I don't know what this one's about, so I'm going to read the synopsis. Tara the Terrible. That's what Michael Webster calls his bratty little sister. She loves getting Michael into trouble, making his life miserable. Things couldn't get any worse. Then Mr. Webster brings home an antique cuckoo clock. It's old, it's expensive, and Mr. Webster won't let anyone touch it. Poor Michael should have listened to his dad, because someone put a spell on the clock. A strange spell, a dangerous spell, and now Michael's life will never be the same again. I haven't really heard too much about this one. Nobody really ever talks about it. It's number 28 in the series. If you've read it, please let me know if it's any good. Sounds like it might be a bit of a hoot, pun intended. And The Ghost Next Door, which is number 10. This is kind of one of the more boring covers. It's like you got ghostly feet on the welcome pad. Although that would be kind of weird, answering the door to that. And there's one more. I just got to go get it because I'm reading it to my son right now. And this is A Shocker on Shock Street. Once my little guy saw the cover for this with the giant praying mantis, he was all on board. He demanded that we read this one next. And that sort of gave me a feeling of pride. It's my little boy. It's just like me. And so far we're enjoying it. It starts off with a bit of a surprise, I guess. It starts off like almost as though it's going to start really quick, but then you find that it's only a movie they're watching. That was a bit of a disappointment, but R.L. Stine, he's famous for that kind of thing. So that is the second part of my recent book haul. I found these books, as I said, on Facebook, and I got some of them on at the bookstore, and I'm looking forward to reading them all. I don't know if I'm going to review all of them because of the whole COPPA thing and YouTube. I'm going to see how that plays out, and you know, it's kind of even questionable whether I should put this video out, but I'm going to anyway because, you know, fuck them. Alright, so thank you for watching. Keep being creative, and I'll catch you in the next bookish video.